including live in-game betting. No bets, no glory. Wagers may only be placed on Nebraska-based teams when played outside the state of Nebraska. Must be 21 or older to gamble. Gambling problem? Call 1-833-BET-OVER.
As a proud member of the Roofing and Solar Reform Alliance, Coalition Restoration stands out by providing thorough property assessments, personalized customer service, and top-notch craftsmanship. With years of experience in the industry, Coalition Restoration has built a notable reputation for having a team filled with skilled professionals and possessing the expertise to handle any roofing project, big or small. Visit their website today for a free roof assessment at www.coalitionrestoration.com or give them a call at 402-607-8186.
With the Planet Fitness Black Card, you don't just get a great workout, you get a great perk out because your membership is packed with perks. For $1 down and $24.99 a month, you'll get perks like access to any of our 2,400 clean and spacious locations. Bring your friend anytime and both work out with tons of equipment that'll give you that big fitness energy. Relax in the Black Card spa and more. Work out and perk out with the PF Black Card. Join for just $1 down and $24.99 a month. Hurry,
this deal ends soon.
See Home Club for details.
At Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, we're ready, reliable, and recommended. Water heater acting up or your sump pump on the fritz? Call Action. Summer's around the corner. Is your AC working? Are you sure? Call Action. Electrical problems? I'm telling you, call Action. Call Action for a free same-day estimate or a trusted second opinion. You heard that right, a free same-day estimate. 402-423-6960. ActionLincoln.com.
Hey guys, it's your girl Jordan from Starter Heyman Jewelers. Gentlemen, it's time to elevate your style with something from our men's jewelry and watch collection. Why not treat yourself to the ultimate in luxury? We've got an incredible selection of pre-owned Rolex watches, even those hard-to-find models you've been dreaming of. Whether you're stepping up your game day look or adding a touch of class to everyday wear, our top-tier collection is sure to impress. Stop by Starter Heyman and discover the perfect piece to reflect your unique style. Until next time, happy shopping, guys.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Before you start blowing and raking leaves this season, make sure you know where they go. Yard waste is not garbage, especially in Lincoln, where it's converted into earth fuel compost. All grass clippings and leaves must be separated from household trash from April 1st until November 30th each year. It's the law. Yard waste belongs in a paper lawn bag, or you may request a bin from your trash hauler who will pick it up for a small fee. Remember, no trash or branches are allowed in yard waste. Get the details at lincoln.ne.gov/recycle.
At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza, the big one, all the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa,
that's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend. Welcome in to the Corner 3, taking you around the arc of college basketball. From the NAAC to the Pac-12, the WCC to the SWAC. We cover it all now on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Austin Oerman.
That's right. Welcome into the Corner 3. I am your host, Austin Oerman. Find me on Twitter at Austin_Oerman. Fire off your college basketball takes. Would love to get into them with you. 402-464-5685. I'll be with you for the next 45 minutes, give or take, before sending you out to Seward Concordia University for the Seward Blue Jays and the Gretna East Griffins. Second round of state football action. Nick will be on the call. But until then, from college basketball to tide you over on a beautiful Friday night here in the capital city. It's getting cold. I know there are plenty of you who will tell me it's football weather, but nope, this is the time we get our butts inside, we sit them on the bleachers, and we enjoy some college hoops. Let me know if you're on the road to or from some state football, state volleyball. If you watch and you support it, let me know. I'll give you a shout out here on our text line 402-464-5685. We're almost a week into the season for college basketball here, and we've got some news. Got one of the biggest games of the year taking place tonight. We'll get to that in a second. Some wild allegations out of the Florida men's basketball program concerning head coach Todd Golden. We'll get into that here in this opening segment. Middle segment, though, or second segment of the show at the very least, we're going to have some fun looking at some coaches in their first 2 years who have replaced some pretty notable, successful coaches. A lot is being made about the future of Kyle Neptune at Villanova. How does Kyle Neptune in his first 2 years, and now one game at Villanova, compare to some other coaches in their first couple years taking over for a legend? So that'll be the second segment. Got a lot of names to compare Kyle Neptune to. A lot of programs that were left in different hands in different spots. So how does Neptune compare? How's he done compared to some other coaches? That'll be coming up in 15 or 20 minutes. Again, 402-464-5685 if you've got anything on your mind. Let's start with the game of the night, taking place just a couple hours down the road from us here in Lincoln, down in Lawrence, Kansas. For the first time in just about 40 years, we get a home and home between Kansas and North Carolina. Kansas ranked number 1 in the country. North Carolina ranked number 9. They just tipped off a couple minutes ago down at the Fog. Evan Miyakawa is a guy that you've heard me talk up a lot here on this show. You will continue to do so. Evan does some great work in the stats realms. When he looks at this matchup, when I look at this matchup as well, not just relying on Evan, but eye test, I think, would confirm the numbers. Carolina might have the two best players by the numbers in the game, in RJ Davis and Elliot Cadeau. I'm not the biggest Elliot Cadeau guy, but I'm also not a big DeJuan Harris guy. I think that's kind of a wash when it comes to matchups. So, take it or leave it at the point guard position. RJ Davis, one of the best players in college basketball last year, if not for Zach Edey, probably would have been the National Player of the Year, really coming into his own. Blossoming there is the no doubt go-to option in Chapel Hill with Caleb Love out the door to Arizona. But Evan says this: the depth the Jayhawks have is extremely impressive this year. Only 3 North Carolina players would crack Kansas's top 7 in the rotation, according to his basketball power rating. Outside of RJ Davis and Elliot Cadeau, Kansas has a huge matchup advantage. That they do, right? Hunter Dickinson towers over Carolina's front court. KJ Adams is extremely switchable defensively. He's a big man, probably best served at a small ball 5. He'll play some 4, but can guard both the rim and on the perimeter. And then the kind of surprise 5th starter, at least to some degree for Kansas, is a guy by the name of David Coit. David Coit transferred to Kansas from Northern Illinois, and tonight he's getting the start over AJ Storr, who averaged 20 points or so for Wisconsin last year, and Zeke Mayo, who's been a stud for a South Dakota State team that's made the tournament a couple times recently. Coit's that third guard that's starting. Kansas is an old team. It's Harris, KJ Adams, Hunter Dickinson, all his seniors, as well as Coit, the Northern Illinois transfer. And then Rylan Griffin, another great kind of complimentary transfer portal pickup for Bill Self in the offseason. But think about how Bill Self has constructed this lineup. He goes with David Coit over AJ Storr, who's making a lot of money right now. AJ Storr told you how much money he was making in the offseason, how much money it would take to get him to Lawrence, Kansas. He said $1 million or I'm not coming. I don't think he actually got $1 million, but he got at least $500,000, probably pushing $750,000, and you bench him. And then Zeke Mayo, one of those kind of under the radar guys who you don't hear about unless you're watching the Summit League tournament or you see him getting some buckets in the NCAA tournament. A guy that I thought was going to be a really good complement to DeJuan Harris. Harris definitely the passer and defender, but Zeke Mayo or AJ Storr for that matter can really fill it up, can really put the ball in the bucket. Neither one of them starting tonight. It's David Coit and I'm sure this is something to do with some tinkering for the Jayhawks. Really fascinating matchup here. I was texting with a couple people who have some more skin in the game than I do. One of my buddies sent me the matchup for the game, the spread and everything, and obviously he wanted Kansas to win big. He's been a Kansas basketball fan as long as I can remember. So he asked, who do we think wins tonight? I just said I hope Revelation 22 wins tonight. You cannot get me to root for either one of these two programs. I'm not going to do it. So quit asking. Kansas has tormented Nebraska hoops basically forever. I mean, a couple big wins for the Huskers against the Jayhawks, but that game, and I believe it was winter of 2017, that Nebraska had the lead late. Kansas draws up the play for Zvi Mikhailuk in the corner. He hits the go-ahead three. Kansas wins that one in Lincoln. We'll never forgive him for that. The year before, I actually made my trip down to the Fog with this friend for Nebraska and Kansas, and Kansas won that one pretty big. If you haven't gotten a chance to go to Fog Allen, if you're a fan of college basketball, go to say you went. If you're not a fan of college basketball, go. It's going to change your mind. It's going to talk you into it. The game presentation was awesome. The history of the museum is absolutely incredible. The atmosphere, just off the charts, phenomenal. Honestly, the state of Kansas does basketball surprisingly well, right? I went down to that game at Fog Allen. Gosh, that would have been, 8 years ago now? Gosh, I'm old. Fantastic environment. Probably my favorite place to have ever watched a college basketball game is Fog Allen Fieldhouse right now. But not far behind it was Bramlage Coliseum, the Octagon of Doom in the Little Apple in Manhattan. When I went down last season for Nebraska's road win over Kansas State, I was really impressed with the fans. I was really impressed with the crowd. It's kind of like Iowa, in Carver Hawkeye Arena, where it's sunken. You walk in at ground level, and then the bowl in the arena it's built down instead of being built up. Fans were rowdy. Fans were raucous. They were into it. Some interesting chants. The pregame hype video was incredible. And Juwan Gary said, nope, not enough. I'm going to grab 11 offensive rebounds and get all my points on second chance points. Rink Mast had a good game to start things off early for Nebraska. Yeah, the state of Kansas does basketball right, at least at those two schools. Get into a game at Wichita State. I don't know if it would be as fun anymore, especially with them in the American Athletic Conference. I still think that, the Missouri Valley deserves to have Wichita State in it and relegate Creighton back to the Mo Valley as well. But alas, those days have come, those days have gone, and we're dreaming of bigger and better. So Carolina and Kansas have tipped off. That's probably the big game of the night tonight and maybe not the weekend. We'll get to that in a little bit. But at least for tonight, don't watch UCLA, Iowa. Maybe turn it on for the second half. Glue your eyes to the TV for Kansas, Carolina. All right, news of the day, though, in college basketball comes to us from Gainesville. Really just kind of horrifying story out of Gainesville as it relates to Florida head coach Todd Golden. Todd Golden took over as head of the Gators for the 22-23 season. 16-17 in his first year, 24-12 with an NCAA tournament appearance last year, ranked number 21 in the AP preseason poll this year. But the Alligator, which is Florida's student paper, reported today that there was a Title IX complaint and investigation against head coach Todd Golden. I'm just going to read a few paragraphs straight from this article here just to kind of fill you in. Here we go. The formal Title IX complaint against Golden obtained by the Alligator includes allegations of sexual exploitation, sexual harassment, and stalking. The complaint alleges that over the course of a year, Golden specifically aimed these behaviors toward UF students. The claims regarding sexual harassment, which could also include sexual exploitation, cited sending photos and videos of his genitalia while traveling for Florida, unwanted sexual advances on Instagram, requesting sexual favors, and various occasions of stalking. There was allegedly more than one occasion in which Golden was taking photos of women walking or driving and sending those pictures to the subjects involved. Various stalking incidents also included Golden showing up to locations where he knew the women would be. On allegedly more than one occasion, Golden was engaging women on Instagram by liking photos, then waiting until they read his DM before unliking the photos to avoid suspicion. Gross. Gross. No need for it. What are we doing, Todd Golden? Why are we doing it? This is probably the end of Todd Golden's career at Florida. Again, innocent until proven guilty. If these allegations are true, that's got to be the end. It's got to be the end to a really promising basketball coaching career. Todd Golden played his college basketball 109 games, 5.5 points per game at St. Mary's. Yes, that St. Mary's, home of the Gales, Randy Bennett and all that. He's been a coach, a head coach for 6 years. He cut his teeth at San Francisco. This was a San Francisco team that was really, really spicy in the West Coast Conference. They went 22-12 his first year in 2019-20 as a bubble team. Fall back in 2020-2021. They go only 11-14. Then a really good year in 21-22. They go 24-10 before he makes the move to Florida. He's coached some fringe NBA type prospects in his time at San Francisco, but that wasn't what brought Todd Golden's name to the forefront, right? Todd Golden was one of those analytics wonderkins, right? Todd Golden was kind of at the front of mainstreaming the 2-on-1, but more importantly, the 2 for 1, and more importantly, the 3 for 2. We don't see a lot of 3 for 2 in college basketball. Chris Paul's talked a lot about it in the NBA, right? When you think of a 2 for 1, you think of a team shooting the ball with about 45 seconds to go, typically at the end of the first half, or in women's college basketball at the end of a quarter. Because with the 30-second shot clock, you get it up between 45 is kind of the mark that I like to shoot for. If you get it up at 40, that's probably fine, but really no later than 37 or 38 seconds remaining on the clock. Because then with the 30-second shot clock in college basketball, the other team will shoot it, and you'll have anywhere from 3 at the very low end to 6, 7, if you're lucky, 8 seconds on the shot clock for your last possession, a chance to score heading into the break after the quarter or into the half. So Todd Golden was really on the forefront of that, ran a pretty analytically savvy system as well in terms of shot distribution. He's no Nate Oates, right? He's not all threes and layups, but he certainly had San Francisco trending that way. Had some interesting tweener players, right? Some 6'9" power forwards that could handle the ball, could stretch the floor, defended a little bit as well. It's, again, I have to lead with this. It's horrifying what he did, the way he was doing it. Mississippi Mud Dog. Yeah, I mean, I know why he's doing it. It is weird. It's gross. It's disgusting. And it's unforced. It's absolutely an unforced error for a guy that, has he had, the best success at Florida? No. But he's in his second year, now his third year, 2 games in to his third year as a coach at a high major program, and a pretty proud high major program as well at Florida, right? Florida fans, I think, are still really holding on to the Billy Donovan days, as they should. I mean, that was the golden age of Florida basketball. Been a bit of an up and down ride since then. Looking at what Florida's done since Billy Donovan left. I mean, that was only back in 2014-15. Mike White had some good years, got Florida to an Elite 8, made it to the round of 32 a couple times as well. They've been on a little bit of a slide from there. They go get Todd Golden. They lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament last season. But there was a pretty upward projection for Todd Golden, who I still thought was going to be on the path to being an NBA head coach, just because of his analytical background. Maybe he wouldn't hack it as a head coach. I don't know. Haven't talked to the guy. But certainly with the way that he managed analytics, the way that he made the most of the talent that he had, I bet Todd Golden was going to stick around college basketball for another 5-10 years. And then some team would have given him a shot to be an NBA assistant, just with the way that he thinks up offensive basketball, draws up some really nice sets in the way he thinks through the game. But at least for the time being, that is at least on pause, if not in the process of getting thrown out the window. And it's just wildly disappointing to see for a guy whose career I was tracking with some interest because of how analytically forward he was. A couple other things you might have missed in college basketball throughout the week. Gonzaga pastes Baylor 101-63. Really, the only highlight for the Baylor Bears was projected top 5 NBA draft pick VJ Edgecombe throwing down one of the dirtiest dunks you will see all season on opening night. You probably didn't see it because you were in bed. That game started at, I believe, 10:30 Eastern time, 9:30 Central, just because of how Gonzaga's TV contracts work. But Gonzaga looked like they were in midseason form. We know that's an offense-forward program. 49 first-half points, 52 in the second. Baylor's strategy of switching everything didn't work. Did not work out for the Bears, who I still couldn't tell you exactly what their identity is under Scott Drew. I still tend to think of them as a little bit better offensively. Others would tell you, no, it's defense. They're just a, not elite defensive team, but they hang their hat on defense. They just maybe get some more buckets compared to like a peak Virginia or a Houston. I'm still high on Baylor's talent. There's a lot of really good players on that team, led by, again, VJ Edgecombe, the projected NBA lottery pick. But they add Norchad Omier from Miami, kind of a stretch five. You get Jaden Nunn back, Jeremy Roach, big add from Duke, the way that he's supposed to play his role. Kind of a rough game for him, only 2 of 9 shooting overall, and then 1 of 4 from three-point range for him. Robert Wright, Celestine is back as well. So Baylor's still a good team. But what got exposed was how teams will beat Baylor moving forward, right? Baylor's not huge. If Omir's your center at 6'8", probably, maybe 6'9", and he's a stretch 5, Baylor doesn't have much front court help, especially with the departure of Yves Missy and Jonathan Jamachua. So definitely interested and intrigued by Gonzaga, who moves all the way up to number 3 in KenPom right now. They're about a point clear of Duke at number 4, and just about a point shy of, drumroll please, Auburn at number 2 in the KenPom rankings. Auburn destroys a good Vermont team that's expected to win the America East again, 94-43. Miles Kelly had his coming out party. He transfers in to the Tigers. 7 of 11 shooting from him on his way to 21 points. You had Johnny Broom doing normal Johnny Broom things. Johnny Broom is a guy that you need to get some eyes on. If you see Auburn men's basketball pop up on TV, watch and enjoy some Johnny Broom. This Vermont team made the NCAA tournament last year, played Duke in the first round. Vermont's always been able to shoot the basketball, kind of that prototypical kind of mid-major team that's going to be technically sound. John Becker's been there for a long time. He was a guy I considered picking in the college basketball coaches draft that I did not too long ago with Jacob Bigelow. And hey, make sure you check out the podcast, right? If you miss the college basketball coaches draft, you miss any of the other episodes, wherever you get your podcasts, the Corner 3 will be. Subscribe, follow, like, all that good stuff. If you appreciate it too, share the show. Tag me, give me a comment. Doesn't cost you anything, but really does me a lot of good. So anyways, back to Auburn. According to Ken Pomeroy, Auburn's actually rated higher than Alabama, who was ranked higher in the preseason poll. Now, it's not by much. Alabama's all the way down at number 5 compared to number 2. But we get a matchup of KenPom number 1 and KenPom number 2 coming up this weekend at the Toyota Center in Houston. It's KenPom number 1, the Cougars of Houston, against KenPom number 2, the Tigers of Auburn. Going to be a defensive slugfest. Defensive ratings, Houston, 89.1 at number 1, Auburn number 2 at 90.9. 2 programs that have hung their hats on defense, 2 head coaches with certainly slightly checkered past. What Kelvin Sampson did back in the day, probably not to the degree of what Bruce Pearl did, but there's still that stigma attached to him. 2 guys that, have really resuscitated the programs that they took over. Bruce Pearl has done a fantastic job turning Auburn into a consistent NCAA tournament team. It's not just a football school anymore. And for Houston, what Kelvin Sampson has done, there's a reason I picked him in the college basketball coaches draft. I'm really high on Kelvin Sampson. He's done a great job. I think it's only a matter of time. Not to say Kelvin Sampson's running out of time, but he is getting up there. Is he going to be the next coach that steps away after a long, pretty fruitful career, but without a ring as a head coach for a Houston team that's, always a threat to win it? Last year, they ran into a bunch of injuries, got bounced in the round of Sweet 16 it was, by my beloved Duke Blue Devils, who are taking on Coach K's alma mater, Army West Point, tonight. All right, speaking of that, John Shire taking over for Mike Krzyzewski made his transition look a heck of a lot smoother than Kyle Neptune did with the transition from Jay Wright to himself. There's been a lot of conversation about Villanova after their season opening loss to Columbia. I want to give you some numbers. I wanted to know just how bad it's been for Kyle Neptune, if it's been as bad as everyone thinks, or maybe if he does deserve some more time and to get cut some slack. That's what we'll do to wrap up the Corner 3 when we get back.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
The Lincoln forecast for today, expecting mainly cloudy skies this morning, then showers arriving this afternoon. See a high around 56. Tonight, showers likely, below around 46. And tomorrow, showers likely throughout the day with cashing fog possible. The high around 55. Meteorologist Kyle Butler from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, wanting to thank you all again for your continued service. November is off and running. Check this out. Get up to $12,000 off or 0% financing on select new vehicles. We have great lease specials with new Trax and Trailblazers starting at $299 per month and new Blazer EVs leasing for $399. Great payments, discounts, and of course, 0% financing. So make that short drive down 144th Street or check us out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. All finance with approved credit, leases with $2,500 down.
Hey everyone, Lance here with Black Label. We specialize in creating custom crafted decks, pergolas, patio covers, and more. Plus, our retractable screens, gazebos, and patio enclosures create the ultimate outdoor retreat. With over 50 years of combined experience, we're not just builders, we're creators of unforgettable memories.
Call them today at 402-730-6333 or visit blacklabelbuilt.com for a free consultation.
Let's turn your backyard dreams into reality.
Black Label Built, built to serve, built to last.
Hey everybody, this is Chris Beecham from Brand Lincoln Podcast and Perch Merch, your go-to in Lincoln for printing and promotional needs. Speaking of that, we are running a huge hoodie sale now through November 30th to save you big money on great brands. 20% off everything from Nike and Bella Canvas pullovers to Gildan and Port & Company sweatshirts and district fleeces. Get yours for your group or organization today by calling us at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
Now that Halloween is over and you're gearing up for Christmas, it's time to head to Tailored Life in Bennett to get ready with local shopping. Make the short drive down Highway 2 for tons of items for your home for both indoors and outdoors. Check out their variety of Christmas trees in all different colors. Plus, many other fall and winter holiday items and landscape lighting to enhance the outside of your home. Don't forget their home goods for indoors, plus convenient drinks and snacks, most of which are produced locally. Visit Tailored Life today in Bennett and stay tuned to their Facebook page at Tailored Life 360 for food truck events coming up.
At Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, we're ready, reliable, and recommended. Water heater acting up or your sump pump on the fritz? Call Action. Summer's around the corner. Is your AC working? Are you sure? Call Action. Electrical problems? I'm telling you, call Action. Call Action for a free same-day estimate or a trusted second opinion. You heard that right, a free same-day estimate. 402-423-6960. ActionLincoln.com.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just a professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at PAHLincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
Back to the corner three on 93.7 The Ticket. Here is your host, Austin Oerman.
We're jumping right to the Sartor Heyman Jewelers text line here to start the segment off. Big thanks to Quattro for sending this my way. There's been a fight on Auburn's team plane, or nearly a fight. Sources are still speculating. Sources are still trying to get the details. But I mentioned that Auburn was on the way to playing Houston tomorrow night at the Toyota Center. Huge game for college basketball, huge game for both of these programs trying to establish their early season bona fides. But here's what a couple different sources are saying. Auburn's plane had to return home due to a ruckus, some commotion between players on the flight that could have escalated into a fight. Auburn was about 45 minutes into their trip, not a long one, from Auburn to Houston, and had to return home. Sources say they're expected to take another plane to Houston later tonight to play Houston tomorrow night. Apparently, they had to clear the whole plane and get the differences sorted out. That's insane. Auburn, what are we doing? I would love to know what went into that fight. Knowing college basketball, I'm sure it's something just entirely, incredibly hilarious. So stay tuned for more details on that. If they break throughout the show, I'll make sure I get those to you. Thanks to Quattro for showing me that. I had closed out of Twitter, which I never do. This is why I stay on the app all day. Dang it. Oh, well. Lesson learned. Twitter stays open permanently. All right. Kyle Neptune at Villanova. Things have not been great for old Kyle. Took over for Jay Wright. He's had 2 full seasons and now 1 game. And within his first 2 years and now 1 game, Kyle Neptune has 5 losses to teams outside KenPom's top 100, thanks to Field of 68 for this graphic. He's lost to Temple in the Philly Big Five when they were ranked 120th in KenPom. Lost to Portland, who not good when they were ranked 157th. Penn beat him last year at the Palestra. Drexel, also in Philly, beat him, ranked 126th. And then the most recent one, a 10-point home loss to Columbia, an Ivy League school, pops up and gets the Wildcats. Kyle Neptune, through 2 years at Villanova, 35-33, no NCAA tournament appearances and 2 first-round losses in the NIT. He's finished his first 2 years ranked 51st and 37th in the KenPom rankings, despite being 18-16 2 years ago and 17-17. The numbers still love Villanova. The numbers still love him. Villanova was one of the teams that I already canceled this year. In case you missed that episode, the big 3 of analytics, Ken Pomeroy, Evan Miyakawa, and Bart Torvik, all have Villanova inside the top 50. Ken Pom has them at number 20, which I said, no way, Jose. Hold your horses, Ken Pom. I'm not buying it. Evan Miyakawa, 49th. Bart Torvik, 43rd. And to be completely honest, if 20 is out of the question, out of the picture entirely, 43-49 really feels like the ceiling. There's some decent pieces on that Villanova team, but Kyle Neptune hasn't proven he can elevate them and make them better. In his first 2 years, and now 1 game, but he hasn't played a ranked team yet, Kyle Neptune is 2-7 and 2-6 against teams that are ranked in the top 25. 4-13 against ranked teams. Most of those in the Big East, 1 or 2 of them in the non-conference as well. And of his 33 losses, 20 of them, 20 of his losses have been to unranked teams. Now, to be fair, every coach, with a few rare exceptions, is going to end their career with a losing record against other ranked teams. It's just how it happens. But 4-13, no, these aren't the same Villanova teams in terms of talent. But Kyle Neptune isn't necessarily proving to be the guy to elevate what talent Villanova has. In his defense, he was on the Nova bench for a while. He left to take the Fordham head coaching job, and then he returned when Jay Wright retired. In his first year, they go 18-16. He becomes the first Villanova head coach since 1962 to win the Philly Big Five title in his first season. Okay, little bragging rights, maybe not the ultimate goal for Villanova, especially right now coming off of the Jay Wright era, but it's not nothing. He was also the first Villanova coach since Raleigh Massimino to go 500 or better in conference play in his first year, and he just squeaked that out. They went 10-10 in Big East play his first year. So why is that such a big deal? It's little old Villanova tucked away. Yeah, it has a couple national titles in its past, but not really a blue blood. Maybe it was trending toward new blood. Well, it's kind of a big deal because of what Jay Wright did. In just the last 5 years before he retired, Jay Wright went 134 and 36 at Villanova. That's an average of 27 wins and 7 losses per year, a 78.8 win percentage. Jay Wright in his last 5 years won a national championship, missed the COVID tournament due to COVID, went to the round of 32, the Sweet 16, and then made the Final Four back in 2022. Jay Wright's teams in Ken Pomeroy rank finished 1st, 30th, 18th, 12th, and 10th. And in 2 years, Kyle Neptune hasn't once exceeded Jay Wright's lowest ranking in the previous 5 years. Was the cupboard as stocked for Kyle Neptune at Villanova as it was at some of these other places we're going to get to? No, absolutely not. For everything that Jay Wright did well, for the way he represented Villanova basketball, the number of games he won, the manner in which he did it, Jay Wright did not make a good choice for his successor. At least it doesn't seem like it right now. Nova's offensive numbers have dropped precipitously since they won the national title. They scored 86.5 points per game when they won the national title. Defense wasn't that great. They did allow 70, and that's a middle-of-the-pack defense. But that 2018 offense was one of the best in college basketball history. They haven't scored over 75 points since that national title run. They've typically been inside the top 150 until, again, Kyle Neptune gets there. 69.6 points per game his first year, 228th in the country, and 70.2, which is 276th last year. Even defensively, not that Jay Wright's teams were elite defensively. They made up for a lot of their defensive deficiencies with offense, but the defense for Villanova last year was really good. 22nd best defense in the country with 65.6 points per game given up on average. The year before that was 67.7, about 67th percentile at 103rd. What it tells me is that Villanova is still running a lot of the Jay Wright stuff, a lot of the actions, a lot of the philosophy, but they don't have the dudes to do it. Or if they do have the dudes to do it, the guys aren't making shots, they're not making the extra pass. I haven't watched a lot of Villanova under Kyle Neptune after his first couple weeks in charge of the program, because Nova's boring. It's not a fun watch. Nova's just a pretty mid Big Ten team right now. I can see what they want to be, I think, but they're not talented enough to be it, and there hasn't been the adjustment to a new system to put guys in better positions. But I don't want to completely bury Kyle Neptune right now, because there's another head coach who in his first 2 years at a proud program in the Big East had very similar numbers, very similar statistical profile. And that coach is Dan Hurley, taking over for Kevin Ollie. Kevin Ollie was obviously not nearly as good as Jay Wright was in his last 5 years at UConn. And Kevin Ollie only lasted 6 seasons. But Kevin Ollie was 107 and 69 his final 5 years at UConn. That's good for his 60.7 win percentage. Made the tournament 2 out of those 5 years, won a national title, and then made it to the round of 32. And those UConn teams were good until they weren't. They dropped off a cliff precipitously at the end of Kevin Ollie's tenure. 15th, 73rd, 26th were the Ken Pom ranks his first 3 years, all the way down to 96th and finally 179th for a basketball school. 179th. Yikes. So Dan Hurley comes in, his first 2 years, he goes 35 and 29, good for a 54.7 win percentage. That's not all that different than Kyle Neptune's record. Neptune was 35 and 33. Hurley was 35 and 29. Neither one of them made an NCAA tournament in their first 2 years. And then what did Dan Hurley do? Took off. Made it to the moon. Probably even exceeded the moon, right? Back-to-back national champions are the Huskies right now. But Dan Hurley's first 2 years, UConn finished 98th and 52nd in Ken Pom. Kyle Neptune's team's 51 and 37. And I know the numbers aren't everything. You know, you can manipulate the data to say a lot of different things.
But maybe the numbers are telling us Villanova, the record, maybe isn't as good as it should be. Or Kyle Neptune isn't maximizing the talent on his roster and it's underperforming based on what the numbers are saying. Dan Hurley didn't get nearly as many opportunities against ranked teams as Kyle Neptune did. He went only 1-3 in year 1 and 2-4 in year 2. But just like Kyle Neptune losing 20 games to unranked teams, Dan Hurley, of his 29 losses the first 2 years, 22 of them were to unranked teams. That's a team in a program that struggled to get above 500 until it clicked. And then it clicked in a big way, and they're off to the races. So that's just one example there in the Big East. It's not an exact one-to-one, and Kevin Ollie left the program in a much different place than Jay Wright left his program. But just looking at that one data point, I don't think you should be sold on getting rid of Kyle Neptune quite yet. Don't make up your mind now. I say you give him the rest of the season. If you see improvement, if you see steps in the right direction, you can maybe let it ride. But I think there's a pretty quick hook on year 4. So that got me thinking, who are some other coaches that have taken over for, legends in their program? Not saying that Kevin Ollie is a legend at UConn. Did some nice things, really tailed off at the end. But Kevin Ollie, of course, took over for Jim Calhoun, who was far and away the best men's basketball coach in UConn history. Jim Calhoun, his final 5 years, went 125-53 in stores for a 70% win percentage. First round tournament exit, Final Four, national championship, and round of 32 were the NCAA tournament appearances in the final 5 years for Calhoun. His KenPom rankings were 38th, 10th, 51st, 2nd, and 7th at the end of the year. But Kevin Ollie took off, right? Jim Calhoun left the program in a pretty good spot, but within 2 years, Kevin Ollie had won a national championship, finishing 15th in KenPom and 49th at KenPom, but a pretty miraculous run to that 2014 NCAA tournament championship. Kevin Ollie was 3-3 his first year against ranked teams, but went 10-4 in his second year against ranked opponents. So Kevin Ollie was the beneficiary of some leftover talent from Jim Calhoun, but also maximized what he had on the roster and did a good job of recruiting some of those role players to help propel UConn to that title. The other Big East example that I could think of, it's only 1 year, so this isn't the exact same study, but I thought it was still potentially illustrative, was Adrian Autry taking over for Jim Boeheim. Boeheim in his final 5 years, not great, not innovative. Teams had kind of cracked the zone, and Syracuse wasn't getting any better offensively. Jim Boeheim, his last couple of years, made the tournament twice, lost in the first round once, and then in the Sweet 16. His teams finished 39th, 51st, 42nd, 69th, and then all the way down again in a basketball school, 118th in KenPom. Last year for Red Autry, 20-12. Not a bad debut season by any means. Was Syracuse, an electric factory? By no means. But they were fine. Syracuse was fine. They were adequate. They were acceptable. And I'm curious to see what's in store for the Orange in the ACC this year. No NCAA tournament for Q's. Last year, they finished ranked 80th at KenPom, 1-4 against ranked teams. But just like Kyle Neptune, who had been at Villanova for a while, Adrian Autry had been on Jim Boeheim's bench since 2010. Longtime assistant who knows Syracuse, who came in and made some changes. Kevin Ollie had been on Jim Calhoun's bench for a couple years. And Dan Hurley was the head coach at Rhode Island before that. So there's not still a perfect match for what Kyle Neptune has done and not done within his current conference, the Big East, and a former conference rival in Syracuse. Handful more of examples to get to here. Obviously, you're going to go to Tobacco Road and the guys that replaced Mike Krzyzewski and Roy Williams. We'll start with my Duke Blue Devils, John Shire replacing Coach K. Coach K, his final 5 years, 131-38, good for a 77.5% win percentage, made 2 Elite Eights and a Final Four in his last 5 years. His teams finished years ranked 8th, 6th, 5th, 4th, and 3rd in KenPom. John Shire came in and didn't really miss a beat. 54-18, identical 27-9 records his first 2 years, improved by 2 rounds in the NCAA tournament. Round of 32, lost to Tennessee's first year for Shire. Elite Eight loss to the team of destiny, the Cinderella of last year, North Carolina State. Against ranked teams, Shire went 4-5 his first year, 3-3 last year. 10 of his losses were to unranked teams. But again, this is another kind of internal hire like Kyle Neptune. John Shire had been on Mike Krzyzewski's bench, part of the coaching staff, since 2014. John Shire became the first ACC coach who went undefeated at home in their first season. Also the first person to win the ACC title as a player and a coach, and the first coach under age 35 to win 27 or more games in his debut season. Up, down, around Tobacco Road to Chapel Hill, Hubert Davis taking over for Roy Williams. Old Roy was 120-55 his last 5 years. That's a 68.6 win percentage. Hubert Davis right in line with that, 49-23 his first 2 years. Did make the NCAA tournament as an 8 seed and went on that huge run for them, a team that really clicked at the right time. Of course, North Carolina ends Mike Krzyzewski's career in the Final Four. Caleb Love hits the dagger. Carolina goes on to a 15 or 16 point lead at halftime in the national championship game, but gives it all back against Kansas as the Jayhawks win the national title in 2022. Hubert Davis's teams finished 16th and 43rd in Ken Pom. Hubert Davis had been on Roy Williams' bench for 9 years, second most wins within the first 3 years by a Carolina head coach, behind only Bill Guthridge. And those two guys, Hubert Davis and Bill Guthridge, were the only two Carolina coaches that won 20-plus games in each of their first 3 years. Obviously, we're just looking at the first two, but I saw that note and thought it was pretty interesting. So, yeah, Hubert Davis won the Duke-Carolina rivalry with how he knocked off Mike Krzyzewski and his final Duke team in the way in which he did it. But then the very next year, Carolina makes some more history in becoming the first preseason #1 overall team to miss out on the NCAA tournament. And then they cop out of the NIT and just end their season after the ACC tournament. Hubert Davis, 4-5 against ranked teams in year 1, 2-6 in year 2. Identical year 2 records against top 25 teams. A couple more to get to here before we get you ready for some high school football action. Chris Mack did not directly take over for Rick Pitino. That job was handed off to David Padgett, but I think Chris Mack is kind of an illustrative case as well. Pitino went 128-46 his last 5 years at the Ville, and Chris Mack got off to a hot start. 44-21 his first 2 years at Louisville, a 67% win percentage. But Rick Pitino's teams had finished 9th, 17th, 7th, 1st, and 1st in Ken Pom his last 5 years with a Sweet 16, Elite 8, and a round of 32 appearance for him. Chris Mack had Louisville ranked #1 in 2019 at one point. Then it starts losing some oil, starts leaking a little bit. A top 25 Louisville team gets up by 23 points on #2 Duke at the KFC Yum Center and collapses. One of the biggest collapses in college basketball history. And that was kind of the writing on the wall for Chris Mack, who ends up getting fired from Louisville despite being pretty solid. Kenny Payne takes over, and the rest is history for that program and its downslide. The other two examples I have of coaches in their first couple of years replacing some big names at legacy programs. Tommy Lloyd taking over for Sean Miller. Sean Miller obviously let go because of the NCAA investigations into his program, illegal recruiting. Sean Miller, 70% win percentage his last 5 years at Arizona with an Elite 8 and a round of 64. Tommy Lloyd improved on that. Arizona has been an incredible regular season team under Tommy Lloyd. In the Pac-12, fascinated to see how they transition now to the Big 12. But Tommy Lloyd, 61-11 in his first 2 years at Arizona, made the Sweet 16 with, of course, a round of 64 upset loss in there as well. His teams finished 5th and 11th in Ken Pom, and he's 11-4 against ranked teams in his first 2 years in Tucson. The other example was Mick Cronin at UCLA, taking over for Steve Alford. Not exactly a legend of the program, solid coach in his own right. But Mick Cronin, I thought was a curious choice out in Westwood. Did not know how that style would fit. But Mick Cronin in his first 2 years goes 41-22, which is about 6 wins and 11 losses better than Kyle Neptune. Takes UCLA from the first 4 to the Final 4 in his first 2 years. Then has the magical run with Jaime Jaquez, Adem Bona, Tiger Campbell, and the rest a couple years ago. 6-4 in his first 2 years against ranked teams. So again, I think the best example for Kyle Neptune's first 2 years were Dan Hurley's first 2 years at UConn. I'm not completely out on the Kyle Neptune experience, but he's got to prove something this year. That's really when Hurley got things going, was year 3. I'm not necessarily buying the Kyle Neptune breakout. I'm just saying it's probably a little bit too early to write him off. Well, that's going to do it for me here on the Corner 3. It's time that I send you out to Seward. What do we got? We got some high school football state tournament action. It's Seward and Gretna East coming your way here in just a couple minutes. Been a great day here at the Ticket. We'll be done from the studio for the night. Just a couple minutes. You're out at Concordia University in Seward. Number 2 Blue Jays, number 10 Griffins. Nick Sainert on the call. For everyone here, I'm Austin. Nick will talk to you in a sec.
The Rabbit Hole Bakery, located at 8th and Q in the Haymarket, is the ideal place for fresh breakfast items or desserts made daily. Cream puffs, cinnamon rolls, carrot cake, sweet potato, pecan cookies, brownies, blondies. Do I need to keep going? What about bread pudding with homemade bourbon caramel sauce? Stop by the Rabbit Hole Bakery at 8th and Q in the Haymarket today to satisfy your cravings. And if you're looking for larger group orders, they do that too. Order ahead on their website at therabbitholebakery.com today.
Salt Mine City is now open at 8th and R in the Haymarket. Come check out Lincoln's newest brewery with 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager, Brick Street Amber Wheat, and so many more. There's daily drink specials like $1 off Moscow Mules on Tuesdays, $6 IPAs on Fridays, and $6 Bloody Marys on Saturdays. Stop by Tuesday through Thursday from 4 to 9 p.m., Fridays 4 to 11 p.m., Saturdays 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sundays from noon to 8 p.m. It's Salt Mine City, Lincoln's newest brewery at 8th and R.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Attention Nebraska sports fans. Are you ready to take your skills to the next level? The Army National Guard is looking for leaders who are dedicated, driven, and ready to make a difference. Join us and gain invaluable experience while serving your country with a flexible schedule, competitive benefits, and a chance to build a strong future. Learn more at nationalguard.com/Nebraska. Live here, serve here. The Nebraska Army National Guard, guard the good life.
Is your heating system ready for cooler weather? Call Bryant to schedule your fall heating check. No matter what brand, call 467-1111. Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
You have a big investment in your farming operation. Let Landmark Implement help you get the most out of your equipment by investing in pre-season service inspections. Let our John Deere trained and certified technicians provide you with a complete list of repairs that will help your equipment perform better and deliver maximum performance. At Landmark, buy 3 equipment service inspections and get the 4th free. Contact your local Landmark service manager for details and experience the Landmark difference.